Hello, and welcome to another installment of Lead, Laugh, Love. Thank you guys so much for joining us. If you're new here, what we've got set up is an improv talk show. We're bringing you all the most critical subjects about life, love, and leadership in a completely unscripted, 100% improvised format. So all I really do here is load up the topic for the room, which is leadership psychology and emotional intelligence. This is a huge piece that a lot of leaders are missing today. And the masterminds we have in the mix have a really diverse range of knowledge and expertise on the subject. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and start the show. Today's host is going to be Mr. Jonathan Palmar. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Lead, Laugh, Love.
What you gonna do?
Woo! Let's go.
So, I'm supposed to be host. Why didn't anybody call me and tell me that it was my turn to host at this time around?
I thought you know that, dude.
It does go in cycles.
I just got home from Shay's party from Saturday. Like I guess I could host it. I'll do my best, but here we go.
Was it good?
It was great. Yeah. No, good time.
What did you guys dress up as? I
went as Aquaman.
A unicorn. Oh my god, that is a good one for you, JP. Yeah.
It is.
That is a good one for you, dude. Brian,
yeah, I was thinking that, like, end of call, let's call her, wish her a happy birthday, because today's actually her birthday. So
really?
Oh, cool. Yeah, we'll do it. But anyways, we're talking about today emotional intelligence, psychology. I find this subject so interesting because I feel like when I first got on LinkedIn, I felt like being emotional was the furthest thing from what we should be doing on a platform like that. And the truth is, like, social media in general, it's like, where does that conversation begin? And as a man, even, like, the whole conversation of emotional intelligence, I remember growing up and it wasn't really something that, like, we discussed, like, being in, like, a professional wrestling background, like, you had to be tough. Like, you didn't want to come off sensitive because it was a sign of weakness. So I just want to hear, like, going around the room, like, how have you guys tapped into this emotional intelligence? Is it a newly trained skill within the last few years because Gary Vee said so? Or is emotional intelligence something that you've been able to tap into, possibly your entire life? Maybe it's just been a strength of yours. So, Brian, take it away. I want to hear you first.
Oh, the self-reflection, breathe in.
Yeah. Hi, guys. It's good to be here. Man, emotional.
You're looking good today, Brian. You're looking really good.
Hey, what happened?
I'm in my client's office, actually, in their conference room, just hanging out. I have a meeting here directly following.
What I love about your outfit, Brian, I have never been able to do my top button. So, like, what does it feel like to be able to close your top button? Is it
without
like
a tie?
Snug? Is it snug?
It's part of my emotional strategy, actually, and it's freezing cold in this room. I'm like tucking the arms in, and it's not usually buttoned and just cold. But let's talk about this emotional intelligence. This is one of my all-time favorite topics. The reason that I got into the line of work that I'm in is actually because of the the godfather of emotional intelligence, named Dr. Daniel Goleman. When he first came out with this idea of emotional intelligence being more important than intelligence on all the normal sort of knowledge and wisdom and competence of our mind type frameworks, he built this up into something that was really powerful. And over the course of the last 25 to 30 years, it is a very notable achievement that we as a society are now taking our emotions into account. And before emotional intelligence did hit the main stage of academics, of research, and of psychology, I think there was this big sort of focus and emphasis on the Industrial Revolution and the assembly line and all, like, how do we do things better? Okay, well, now that we have that, how do we make employees safer? And then now, though, the last 20 years is now focused on us and our mind. How do we take all the physical safety and now turn it into psychological safety? It's a topic that I really like. And so, yeah, I'm happy to be here talking to you guys about it.
Brian, do you think that goes along with what is it, like Maslow's hierarchy of needs? Like, now that, like, we all feel somewhat safe, we all feel like we have most of our needs met, like shelter's not a problem, water's not a problem, like that kind of stuff. So is it just like the evolution in human that now it's like, as we move up as a society, now we dig deeper into that stuff? Like, what do you think, Alex?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think once you get past the basic needs of just, okay, I can eat a meal, I can, I've got some water, I've got shelter, I've got my health, then I think the next natural progression is like, okay, what else? And I think the what else is like the happiness and the emotional side of things of, do I feel good about myself and how do I make other people feel? For me, emotional intelligence is something that I'm always trying to get better at it, obviously trying to be more empathetic and trying to understand where people are coming from and that side of things. And I think for me, growing up, to get a little bit personal, my dad was always so hard on me, and oftentimes without realizing that, it made me feel like not the greatest person sometimes, because he was just doing his thing. And so for that reason, I think it's partly maybe just some DNA, but partly because of that reason, I saw what it was like when you didn't understand someone's feelings, or you made someone feel not great. And so I think from then on, since I was a little kid, I always thought about, how am I making someone feel? And I'm not perfect. I know sometimes I make people feel not the greatest, but after I do it, I instantly think about it and I'm like, man, how did that land with that person? Or did I come across the right way? Or I certainly didn't want to show this. I certainly didn't want to say this. So I really think about it, because I think you can learn a lot from your positive experiences, but you can learn a lot from people and experiences that weren't the best. That sometimes make you think about things that maybe I wouldn't have thought about had I had a different experience growing up. So I really try to think about how I'm making people feel all the time. I actually probably think about it more than people think, and more emotional than most people think.
I'm not going to beat around the bush with this one, because I want like some real hardcore answers with this. If you had a mommy or daddy that went through some things in their life, like prior to giving birth to you and all of that, to what point do you say, okay, like, you went through those experiences, you might not have had the best childhood, but you have a responsibility to me as your child to not take all of those, negative experiences and challenges that you went through, and then like keep it going, and then, basically like pass on some of those negative things to the next generation. Because I do see that there is like, I remember growing up, when I was younger, my father didn't have the best father figure. And I remember my mom specifically always saying, oh, well, take it easy on your dad because he went through X, Y, and Z. But then you'll meet people that went through some traumatic situations, but they don't allow that to define them. So Ravi, what is your perspective? At what point do we, take responsibility for our own lives, our own experiences, and not allow them to impact the people that we're influencing?
Man, this takes me back to two things, but I'll break it down to the first one, which is, if you are, I suppose sometimes our ego gets in the way. Here's what I mean by that. If I'm in a relationship with my partner, Sophie, right? I may show love and affection in a different way than she does. You may show love and affection. You have a different language. And the problem is sometimes we are reading each other incorrectly, or we want other people to show their affection and love in the same way that we would. Sometimes it does require us to take a step back and say, actually, they did not know. So for example, in this scenario where you said, I don't know what you just mentioned, JP, but let's say if somebody didn't have a father figure or something like that, they may show love in a very different way because they don't know how else to do that. And as a result, you're expecting maybe to be shown with words, and they would show it with their time. So it's really interesting when we look at emotional intelligence. Actually, sometimes we're so caught up on our own selves. Actually, maybe they are showing love, but they're just showing it in a very, very different way. And it's about getting on the same path. And this kind of leads me into my second bit. I remember I was speaking, must have been 2018, to a room full of female entrepreneurs. And this one girl put her hand up and she said, my mom is really, really, Brian, what's on Ravi's face? She said, my mom is really, really against me pursuing my career. I don't know what to do because she's who I spend the bulk of my time with. And I can just imagine that being extremely, extremely tough if people say, well, cut negative people off. Well, sometimes you can't, it's not that simple. You can't just go, see you later, and cut that individual off. And it really reminded me of, you could see in her eyes what she was going through. And that very point is, when do you? I don't have a clean-cut response. I think it's all about context. I really think it's all about context. But if you look at Shay talks about it openly. She didn't do it immediately. She did it at a certain point.
That's a good point.
You got to break the cycle, though. Like I think that's where the responsibility comes in. And that's where I think about when, I'm looking at my two daughters now, if we're in a situation where they're doing something or acting up, where they spill something on a new carpet or something, that's where I go back to when I was like 12 and how I felt when my dad would just yell at me. I mean, he was a good dad in a lot of accounts, but he just was really hard on me. And so like when you would spill something, it was like the world just ended. And I'm like, I just never want to make my kids feel like that. But when it happens, you almost like go there right away. And then you get like, oh, wait, this isn't a big deal. I'm grateful that we have what we have. And it's not the end of the world. So I think your responsibility is you have to break the cycle. Like if you don't do it, who's going to do it? So you can't use that as an excuse. On the flip side, though, it's like help you having empathy towards that other person allows you to understand why they do the things they do and allows you actually to connect with them in a way that you just can't when you don't understand. So back to Robbie's point, people show love in different ways. Like my dad's not the type to be like overly lovey and like, hey, let's go do some father-son stuff. But he'll cry when I leave because of, like how proud he is of me. And so like, it's different. I would love for him to like break the cycle because his dad wasn't in his life and he wasn't, he was not a good dad at all. He was an alcoholic and stuff, but I would love for him to do things a little differently, but that's part of who he is. And that's how he grew up and it's his life. I can't control that. So I think part of it is taking a step back and be like, what's the part that I can control? I can control understanding him and why he is the way he is. And I can do my best to reach out and kind of break down some of those barriers. And I can do my best to break the cycle on some of the things that I don't think were correct and keep the things that I think he did awesome.
Yeah, Alex, I think there's a really important thing that you said. And also Tara Nickel, one of my buds, actually some of us know her. What she said is taking a break is not easy. And I want to bring this up because we have to pause. The power of the pause is so important because between behaviors and the origin of that, which is thought. So you have a thought and then it leads to you to do something. Between that, there's all this crap happening in our minds and it's hard to make sense of it. So in those moments when your dad, you saw you spill something and just reacts instead of responding in a way like, wait, how is this going to impact Alex's emotional state over the long term? This kind of thing. We have to pause, especially when those bad things happen and they want to, like our mind is telling us like, oh, we're going into amygdala mode. I'm feeling like that violence or threat or like fight mode. It requires us to take a step back and pause so that between our thoughts and behaviors, we can actually organize, here's my options. I'm going to take this option and that's the one I'm going to go because I know in the bigger picture, that is what's going to be best overall. And that's also the piece between self-awareness and self-management, which are the two core pillars of emotional intelligence. You have to pause and just say, okay, what is the big picture? Or am I just going to be reactive like a freaking gasoline fire right now?
I love that. Thank you for the commentary, Brian. So do you guys feel like the word empathy has been ruined by social media? It's to the point where I just see it so overused. Like I literally put it in my video because it's like anything else. Like these words become buzzwords. People tend to overuse them. They don't always understand exactly what they mean. And over time, it's like anything else. It's like a song. It's like Despacito. Like you only hear it. You hear the song so many times, and then it kind of loses the feeling. Do you guys feel like empathy being one of those words that is maybe a little bit misunderstood and maybe a little bit overused on social media?
Yeah. Oh, John, you touched on like something that's really important to me. So just like happiness, trust, and love, it starts with yourself. And with empathy is like, how am I going to practice empathy to all these other people if I can't empathize with myself? And that's why the power of emotional intelligence is so real, because you have self-awareness and self-management. And then you have relationship awareness and relationship management. Empathy is like the extreme X games of emotional intelligence, but it starts with yourself and being empathetic towards yourself first. So yeah, good. I'm so glad you brought this up. And again, if you're not going to be nice to yourself, don't plan on being empathetic to others. And that's like, it's such bullshit when people go around saying shit like, oh, I'm so self-aware. Like I just get myself. It's like, nah. Do you though? Like, how are you actually practicing that on a day-to-day basis? And then if you're not practicing that and then you say that you're an empathetic person, it's like, dude, I'm calling BS on that.
I also think from a LinkedIn perspective, this lead with empathy and lead with value, especially in the sales world, is being binged and overused, and it's turned into a strategy. Which feels, it don't feel good when you say, okay, now I'm going to lead with empathy in this very specific moment. What I'm going to do is I don't know, when you build a genuine connection with somebody, you will naturally, like, you're not going to click with everybody, and that's fine, but it's one of those things where when it becomes a strategy, it loses its, I get what JP means, empathy and authenticity. You can shoot me for using both. I've done it, right? Loads of times. But I've seen it being overused to the point where I kind of switch off now when I see posts about it, if I'm honest.
It reminds me of like cage-free eggs. It's like the parameters necessary for something to be considered cage-free eggs. Like the chickens still live in a cage. It's like we want to mask it by putting this word on something. And now all of a sudden it seems like we're now more concerned about our employees. We're now more concerned about the universe that we live in and society and doing the right thing and going green, whatever you want to call it. But it's like, it's just masking like bad behavior. We're just 5% better than we were before. But go ahead, kill it, Alex.
No, I just think like the whole word, like I totally understand the words. There's certain words, and I poke fun at them sometimes too. Even like resonate, like there's just like pivot, like there's just these buzzwords that go around that are kind of funny. I actually did the pivot shoes that one time. Like that's just like, and I think it goes back to like, I don't care what people say, I care what they do. I care if do they actually live it. So like you think about it, companies, every company's like, we got a mission statement, we got a culture, we got a vision. No, you don't. Like you got a poster board that says this is our mission and we care about this. And that might be true and it may not be true, but I don't care what that poster says. I care what the people say inside the company. And I care how you guys interact with each other, because that's really what matters. The same way with brand, people are like, we got a good brand. It's like, oh really? What's the brand? We work really hard. We care about our customers and nobody's going to do it better than us. It's like, that's not a brand, right? That's just something you say. So whether you live it out or not, that's what I care about. So I really don't care. I'll say this, like, empathy, I'll throw it out there, like authenticity, whatever. I don't care as long as it's being used in a genuine way, like as long as it's actually being lived and not just talked about. That's what I think the most. There's always buzzwords and things get thrown around there, but like 90% of it's just being thrown out there. If it's just being used for a buzzword, then that's the problem I have for it versus actually talking about something that matters.
Speaking of confusion and buzzwords, I've seen this one a million times. Is there a difference between personal brand and reputation?
I think it's all it depends. I think some people look at the exact same thing. I think personal brand versus company brand are very, very different. Those two I think are completely separate, but personal brand and your reputation, I think are very similar. right? Like reputation, I think, is a part of your personal brand. When people think of you, JP, they think of certain things. You have a reputation, but that doesn't mean there's not more to your personal brand than just that. Like, but I think that goes into your vision, your mission, and what you're trying to accomplish and that kind of stuff. But certainly a reputation is a big part of your personal brand.
The way that I've heard it is like your personal brand is like what you think of yourself, what you define yourself as, where your reputation is what other people say about you.
Sure.
Right. So like, I don't know if that's actually the way that it's defined. Like,
but here's the thing. If someone asks me what's Jonathan's personal brand and I say what I think it is, that's just my interpretation of my reputation, the reputation that you have. So either way, it's like, again, I get, it's like, it is what it is, whatever we want to call it. Let's call it. Like, I think we get lost sometimes in like, what do we call this? It's like, it is what it is. I think we got to understand it to a certain degree. And then it's like, do you live it? Do you actually have one? I think so many people are like, what's the difference? Like, what about talking about, do you actually have one? You know, like, let's talk about the real issues. So yeah.
Which is an interesting topic. Like, what about like execution, right? Like when people like get lost in that, and you see it all the time. Like people get lost in, well, what is my hashtag going to be? I need to create a hashtag. Like before they've ever even like created a post, right? And then like they, you know, they're like Brian. They buy all this fancy equipment, but they haven't created any videos by themselves yet. And it's like you really wonder like, what's all this mental masturbation that they're doing? Are they going to actually take some action, right? You know?
Or they bought every course known to man, and they're like, literally every other week.
Wait,
like,
but how many coaches? What is the Brian?
At
What
least
is the ideal number of coaches to have?
Brian's like, no.
Brian's like, just one, me.
Yeah. No, I do have, I think right now, like maybe 5, 6. John being one of them. And hey, for me, I took this self-awareness piece into it, and I said, I'm not going to dick around on LinkedIn for another 12 years. I want to work with the best. And I had the self-awareness to say to myself, this is not something I've been good at. And so if someone's going to help me with this, I need to go out and find the Jonathan Palmar and Shay Rowbottoms of the world that know what the hell they're doing. And I think that if you're going to tell yourself where you're weak, self-awareness is broken up into a few pieces. And one of them is self-assessment. So you have self-awareness of emotions, you have self-assessment, what am I good or not good at? And then you have self-confidence. So yeah, I have coaches because I know I'm not good at everything.
Was there a moment, like, was there like a defining moment where you said, I don't like where I am right now. I need to be on LinkedIn. I need to start taking the things that I'm doing seriously. Was there a breaking point, or was it just like a gradual, like it's going to be March. I want to get started. Or was it just a moment?
I love that.
There were lots of moments, John. There were lots of moments that made me feel like I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And when I was leaving behind and now running out of my remainder of my corporate cushy salary from when I was working in 2019 for a big biotech company, I was tired of feeling like a failure. And sometimes you think that the things that you're not competent at make you a failure, but actually sometimes just knowing what you're not good at is success in itself. And that's why I think a lot of us feel like, oh, when I get this, I'll be happy. When I'll get this, and I'll be happy. But the reality is success is an emotion, just like happiness. And you can choose to feel it. I didn't want to use my weaknesses as a barrier any longer. So I found the person that was going to help me to create that value in that part of my life that I was simply not going to be able to do myself. And that's part of self-management. So when you have the awareness and now you move into this self-management piece, that's when you take the action. That's about self-control, transparency, adaptability, achievement, initiative, and then also optimism. Now that I've made those decisions, am I going to be happy about those decisions? Were they the right decisions? And then you go through assessment again.
And let's be clear too, like, this isn't about you shouldn't have a coach or you shouldn't do trainings. I think that's great that you're self-aware. You realize you had a gap, a deficiency, and you said, yeah, I could try to learn everything by myself, but it's going to cost me a lot of opportunity. It's going to cost me a lot of time. Why don't I just find people who are amazing at it and go have them teach me? I think that's a great strategy. Where it hurts people is when they've got a new course every 2 weeks, a new trainer every month, and they're literally not taking action because they constantly have to feel like they need something else. And it goes back to perfectionism and their fear of failure and stuff like that. Lots of reasons where it holds people back. But if you're constantly trying to find something else to make you better, I need to read this new book, this, that, this. It's like, no, you need to freaking do it. Do it. Like, yes, get help, get feedback, but do it, because you're never going to get good at something. I could read all the manuals I want on how to be a great basketball player. If I don't get out there and shoot some baskets and dribble a ball and get blocked in my face, like, I'm never going to be good at basketball.
You know what? But it's like, it does go back to that thing, that belief that there's so many people that, like the self-help book junkies, right? They'll buy every book, they'll read every book. And when we buy it, even like just purchasing it or telling somebody about what we aspire to do makes us feel like we're making progress.
Yep. It's the sexy part.
But
it's the sexy part.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. But the reality is, it's like, we're not actually moving. So what do you think of that, Ravi?
Yeah. Speaking about books, this is like, just the honest truth is, I used to feel pressure of, like you said, the scorecard mentality of how many books you read. So it's not like I was trying to read a book a day or anything like that, but I don't absorb well through reading physical books. But I was in this cycle of buying books, not finishing them, getting a few golden nuggets, and that was it, until Audible came into my life. But I kind of felt like it was a dirty secret. I'm not even joking. I was like, oh, I listen to my books. I don't read them, right? So true. And I actually put out a post like early on, like maybe about 4 or 5 months ago on LinkedIn, talking about how I actually felt a little bit embarrassed to admit that, look, I've got like books over here. I'm like, yeah, they're for show, man. Like I listen to my books, but it's like this thing of where Brian said, it's the self-awareness over ego, which is, and also you can't be what you can't see. If you don't see other people also saying, well, actually, I learn differently, you go, crap, is there something that I'm doing wrong? Is something wrong with me here? So it took me a while to really say, you know what? I'm not going to sit and just try and read this book when I'm just going to listen to it on Audible and get more golden nuggets and actually action on it. But what Alex, I suppose more in Alex's world, JP's world, in my world, what we teach and what we do in the speaking and LinkedIn video content creation game is we often procrastinate on the things that are actually going to create the biggest results from us. Now, I've done it all the time. We've all done it, right? Whether it's in our businesses, fitness, whatever, when actually the one thing we need to do is just do and start taking imperfect action. But we will procrastinate with books or courses. And sometimes it's good to know, actually, you know what? I need to take action now. I have everything within me I filled up my cup to go out there and start taking action. But that's why, let's just be real, a lot of people will talk and they won't actually do, and they will continually talk.
It's like on the Sunday night when you're going to get healthy that next week and you're like eating the cake and you're like, yeah, but Monday, like Monday, I'm eating good, baby. Monday, I'm in the gym. It's so easy and it feels good and it's sexy to say that. And it's like, man, I'm feeling good. I'm gonna start my healthy. And then Monday hits and you're like, damn, I want the donut. I don't feel like going to the gym. So that's where it's like the self-awareness needs to be there, but then the self-regulation, the self-motivation needs to follow it.
Which is exactly where I want to take this conversation. By the way, anybody that's hosting these, I'm going to change Ravi's nickname. Can I change Ravi's nickname?
To what?
Yeah, I'm changing it. I'm changing it to bathroom break. If you guys are ever hosting, as soon as Ravi starts talking, like you could hit the bathroom, you could take your time. Because you'll come back and he'll still be talking. Nobody will even know you.
Oh my God, you're so scripted.
It's not even lead, laugh, love. It's lead, laugh, Ravi.
All right. So anyways, almost lost my train of thought.
I legitimately just filled up my protein thing. I went and got water, and I did come back.
You filled it with piss. I was like, dude, that's hardcore. That's recycling. But anyways, motivation. I that's another one. I hear a ton. Personally, I don't believe in it. I don't think that motivation is a thing. Like, I don't recall a time that I've ever stayed dedicated to anything because I was motivated to do it. I feel like motivation is external. That's like me having to watch a YouTube video of like Rocky running up the stairs to convince me that I need to run up the stairs or that I need to take action. And I just feel like it's a trigger. It's a jolt. It's like, it's getting electrocuted, but it's not going to keep me at that level for very long. So do you guys believe that motivation is a thing? And how has it been done effectively for you guys?
Hey, John, motivation and inspiration are very, very different. Motivation is getting someone to do something. So you're giving them an extrinsic, or like you said, external motivator. Inspirational type of things is when you get someone to want to do something. Not just getting them to do it, but get them to want to do it. And when you talk about inspiration as a word, in spirit, now we're talking about the internal things, the intrinsic motivators, the meaning, the purpose. Those are what's going to propel you long-term with that grit and passion that, a bonus or a short-term like money or a day off is simply only good for the short term.
Yeah. No, you're right. You guys are all right. Motivation is fleeting. It's temporary. Like you can put on a song and feel good, feel pumped up. But then when that song's over, you have to have the inspiration, the meaning, the purpose behind what you do every day. Otherwise, you're not going to stick with it.
I like a good hit of motivation, though.
Yeah. Why not?
For example, it's the top up to get me through that thing. Like, for example, I can't tell you how many times I've watched Creed, Limitless. Like, I enjoy that drug of feeling good on that Sunday, and then boom, I'm feeling good. It puts me in that state of energy to take action, but I can't just sit there and watch 50 Les Brown videos and be like, okay, like I'm ready, like I'm gonna crush it.
It's like the boost if you had a turbo boost in a car, like it'll boost you, but it's not going to drive the car.
Yeah.
You need an engine. Which
Shabam says it's like a fart because it's strong to start and then it fades away.
That's accurate too. That's funny.
We don't hold back here on the show. We don't hold back.
But I think that I would prefer like steady stream, consistent. Like the results aren't dramatic, but it's like those gradual. Because I feel like that's kind of how like most things work. It's like the gradual improvements. Like you look at like video content, or if you work out, or like all of that stuff. It's like you're kind of like on autopilot. They're not things that you have to think about. The things that you need motivation to be able to get over. Like I can't think of a specific time in my life where something that drove me through motivation was ever something that I actually stuck with long term. The stuff that stuck with me the most were things that it's like drinking water. It's like washing my face, brushing my teeth. I just did it. Do I wash my face?
Yeah.
I mean, like the beard covers most of it. You got like the natural oils and everything. But yes, I don't look at this blemishless.
Everyone was asking in the comments. Everyone was asking. It weren't me. Everyone was asking in the comments. I'm just speaking on behalf of the people. Please continue.
I think what you just said there, it's important though, JP. Like it comes down to discipline. Like it's nothing to do with motivation and inspiration. Obviously, is deep down belief, but like it's discipline. That's the difference between a pro and an amateur. A pro does it no matter how they feel, no matter what day it is, no matter what what it looks like outside. Do they want to do it or do they not want to do it? It doesn't matter. You get it done. Like you just have to do it. You get it done. Like scrap the emotion. People get wrapped up in the emotional part of it. It's not like make whatever you want to accomplish. Make it part of your routine and completely erase the emotion of it. And just, it's a task like breathing. You're going to breathe. So don't think about it. It doesn't matter if you feel good or not. You're going to do it. Where the amateur does it when they feel good. It's like, I'm going to make content this week. It feels pretty good. I had a good Sunday. I got some relaxed time. I'm back. I'm start making content now. It's like, dude,
Brian, you mentioned
it's going to be gone again.
Yeah.
Speaking of amateurs, here's Ravi. What do you have to say?
You have digested the textbook, and hey, my name's Brian Ritter.
Okay, so I want to go around the room. What is it that you guys struggle with the most when it comes to staying committed to something? What's the biggest challenge that you have? Like something that you would often try and find motivation to do because you just couldn't find the drive. It didn't come naturally to you.
Besides watching Brian's content through the end, I'd say the one thing that I've actually had to, no joke, no lies, I've told my girlfriend, I was like, I felt my morning routine just wavering, right? So I said, listen, if I don't wake up at this specific time every single day for the next 30 days, I'm wiring you £1,000. And she's like, okay. But once I'm in that mindset and I'm back into the consistency. But what always works for me is accountability. It really works for me.
Can we get any accountability on that shave?
What? In English? What?
In English? Oh, it's just so weird seeing you with a beard because you usually got the beautiful caramel color going on. Look at that beard. Is it coming back?
This is shorter. This is short.
That's 4 days, right?
Sorry?
Like 4 day beard? 4 day beard?
This is 5 days, 6 days, yeah.
5-6 days?
Oh, them grays coming through. I want to be that,
Ooh.
Asian sensation,
Brian, what do you need constant motivation for? What's your biggest struggle?
Man,
wearing clothes that match.
I don't want to get dark here, but I legit struggle with my diet, keeping my macros in order. I've done all these different coaching programs, and no matter what I do, I still struggle with it because I let the tyranny of the urgent take over. And it's like, well, do I go and keep to this or do I not keep to this? And then if I fuck it up, then I feel like a total loser after that. I'm like, damn it, why didn't I do that? And I spend the next day or two beating myself up about it. So those normal things, those routine things that you're talking about, some of them I'm really good at. And then there's some of them is like, dude, I just can't get my shit together.
Let's talk, because this is all family support time. Okay. So what is it about the dieting stuff that is difficult for you, Brian? Is it convenience? Is it because like you have to prepare the food, or what is it?
Just tastes good, baby. Give me that Big Mac, baby. Give me some fries, supersize them.
You're a terrible example, Alex, because I feel like you have like an insane metabolism.
It's pretty
like
good.
you would just like look like that anyways.
But I do eat pretty clean.
Yeah, some protein shakes and stuff. But yeah, Brian, what do you like? Honestly, I'm here to support. What do you feel like is the biggest challenge with that? Is it convenience? Is it?
Yeah, I mean, I've tried those pre-planned things and all of that, and it works for a little while, and then it's like, all right, I'm so tired of this. So I think variety is one issue. I think the responsibility and the commitment is another issue. I think that being vegan, it's really hard to get the right amount of what. Is my diet really heavy in carbs, really heavy in fats, and it's never enough protein. No matter what I do every day, I just can't get the right protein. So that's why I got to do these things, and it's like, after a while, I just get over that. It's just then. So then I make up the calories elsewhere, and it's like the social. My family comes over, we'll eat out. Then that's the next day I eat out, and then what it comes down to is just discipline. I think that's just one area of my life I just really have not mastered. It just requires more work.
Brian, are you vegan out of choice or just because you live in LA? Like,
yeah, it's a California thing. Most no, I'm just kidding. I became vegan when I got my first dog. Really, I enjoyed the
after he ate his first dog. You realized?
No. But when my wife and I got our first dog, I realized how much I actually loved animals. And then, of course, I've seen all those documentaries. I just really am not going to be the person that contributes to the poor treatment of animals. And there's not a lot of companies that are doing that well right now. And I think it's a much bigger problem than people really care to admit. This is like, if you factor out the sort of climate change level things, like this is a major world problem that simply remains unaddressed.
No,
I'm talking about like factory farming and like all of that.
I can relate with Brian, and like I live like that like bodybuilding life, and I want to be as big as possible and all those things. But like my wife bought 4 chickens, like whatever, she wanted to start an egg farm or whatever. I stay out of it. But she bought 4 chickens, and like I've raised them since birth, and now they're like big. And so then I'll go to the grocery store and I'll buy a whole chicken. And I'm like, dude, this is your cousin. I'm legit about to eat your cousin, you know? And I started feeling really bad about it because like these animals, like I also have a duck now, and it's like you really can't tell the difference like behaviorally between like a duck and a chicken and a dog and a cat. Like they could all, you know, they're so similar. They're smart, you know? So I can't eat chicken anymore. It completely ruined chicken for me. But when I think about it, it's like, you know what? Probably for the better. Like, I don't know what's in these foods. It's kind of like what Brian was saying. So yeah, like I can certainly relate with that. It is a little bit wild. So do we have some guests coming in? What's the deal, Travis? Talk to me.
We've got Tara, right? No?
Yeah, I thought so.
Ladies and gentlemen, we do have a special guest in the building. But do we have to kick anybody out here? Maybe get a little tag team system going here.
Yeah, can I please tag Tara in and let me bounce? I'm done with these guys.
We're gonna. So, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Brian Harman is being tagged out, and we have Tara Nickel in the building.
What up, Tara?
Hey, everybody.
How are you?
Hey,
Tara, do you want to be a part of the Shay birthday song? It's her birthday today. You're gonna be it.
Yes, I've already Instagrammed her and sung happy birthday for her. So
all right, let's do it quick. We'll do 2 or 3 lines. Let's do it. All right.
Okay.
Ready? All right. Let's see. Okay. All right. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to Shay. Happy birthday to you.
Oh, God.
Beautiful. All right, let's get that over.
That was bad, everyone. That was bad.
that was terrible. Can we get an auto-tune correction on that?
Work on it.
Anymore. I stopped doing that years ago. I did music in college and I sold that computer with all that fancy stuff on it. $3,000 computer probably full of music programs.
Dang.
Oh yeah, all kinds of stuff you got to do in music school. Crazy stuff.
Really? So
see my piano right there? Still got it.
keyboard. Is that a keyboard?
It is. I don't have a big enough living room in my city house for a real grand, so I have a digital, and it's good because my boys can't break it.
Yeah. Well,
so is the rule like every time somebody comes over, they're like, you know, I used to play the piano. They sit on it and they're like, wait, I know how to do this. They try to like finagle it and they're like, oh, I'm just rusty. I feel like that's the rule every time that people come over.
I like the new rule, JP. I like it.
Do we have a question, JP?
Oh, right. Okay. Just full disclosure. It was Shay's party, so there's a chance I might be hungover still. Slight chance. Yeah. So that may be what it is. But yeah, Tara, like I heard that you're starting to do some of the healing stuff. Talk to me about that.
Yes, I am in the Heal Tribe, and I'm doing gratitude journaling every morning. I have 2 like big things that I do. I do 5 things I'm grateful for, and they're like really simple things. Like I have my nice warm blankets, the sun is rising, I have my hot tea or my coffee. But the other one that's really big is 5 things that I love about myself, and I'm really picky that I make it like physical things because I always was like super self-conscious about that growing up. And I actually recently wrote down that I love my stretch marks. I have 2 boys, and it's always something I hate. Like I don't wear bathing suits or bikinis, and I started writing that, and I was like, why am I doing that? And I was thinking about it, journaling this morning. I said, you know, because it's a symbol that I have these 2 awesome boys. Like I brought 2 boys full term into the world, and it's a reminder. And like, yeah, like it'd be nice if they weren't there, but there's still an example that I have, you know, a family and it's growing and they're healthy, and it's a good reminder, regardless of what, you know, society says is good or bad about them.
Yeah, we always find like those characteristics endearing. Like I don't think that, you know, like normal humans would cast judgment on that. It's like, yeah, it's like it's a mark of pride, especially like you said, you know, it signifies your family. So what is, I want everybody to go around. What is one thing that they are grateful for?
My pointy ears so I can hear better.
Your what? Your pointy ears.
My pointy ears, like a pixie, so I can hear better. But genuinely, to take it to be serious, is the opportunities that getting on LinkedIn has provided, and friendships that I genuinely think I will have for the rest of my life, or at least for a very long period of time if I decide to kick Brian out of that group.
He kicks himself out. You're lucky.
Through LinkedIn, like, I'm actually super grateful for it, because like in a time like this, it's just been amazing to network and meet people, like genuinely, like amazing.
Yeah, and before I go to Alex on that, yeah, I agree. I'm 100% with you. Like, where would we all be right now, like in this pandemic, if we didn't just happen to stumble on LinkedIn at this very moment, at this very time? Like, I feel like I would have been going crazy, just like being isolated, real life, I don't really have a ton of friends. So yeah, like I feel like I would have gone crazy. So I'm with you, Ravi, like having this community, it's incredible. What about you, Alex?
So many things, but I'll give one that I was thinking about earlier today. Just being able to wake up every day and do something that I truly love. I mean, I don't think, not everyone gets to say that. And I really, really, really love what I do and the people that I serve. And I don't get up because of an alarm clock. An alarm clock assists me, but I get up because I just love what I do. It's amazing. And so I'm very grateful for that.
So do you actually sleep? Because I do find that when you don't have a 9 to 5, when you don't have your the conventional job, you just stop sleeping. It doesn't happen anymore.
No, I do. I try to go to bed by like 11, at the latest 12, and then I'm up by like 6:15, 6:30. So I try to get at least 7 hours of sleep every night. I think it's important. Yeah.
Especially for creativity, right, Tara?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I definitely need to get my sleep every night, even boys excluded, just for creativity, energy to do what I got to do every day.
I love it. All right, guys. So it's looking like we're closing it out. So next time around, I definitely want to get more of these people in here. I want to get Judith. I want to get Gada, Jacob.
Yeah, we need to get Judith.
Shubnam needs to come in. So
next time,
thank you for the most
love.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for joining us, Tara.
Thanks,
Tara. Thanks to all of you for having me hosting today.
Happy to have you.
And
what you gonna do? Well, there it is, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you again for joining another episode of Lead, Laugh, Love. We never really know what's going to happen every time we hop on the live stream. So appreciate all of you guys that hop in here and provide a lot of the commentary and support. That's what really creates these conversations and the energy each time. So appreciate all of you very much. Please follow all of these guys, anybody and everybody that you see here in the mix. We're kind of building a really hyper creative community here across LinkedIn and would love to have you be a part of it. So until then, we'll go ahead and catch you next week when we set up our next show. Thank you for joining Lead, Laugh, Love.